many things. Do you know I'm advocating that we celebrate June, we celebrate freedom from the 19th of June to the 4th of July, because we weren't free.
Hey, amen.
And
Amen.
so that would be freedom. I mean, I can just visualize it. I really can.
I tell you, hearing you talk about it, I can too. And I think about your passion for this and how, in some respects, it came from a painful experience that happened in your life of all dates on June 19th. And I know that's a painful story to recount, but would you be willing to share with us what that day was like for you?
I want you to know that my parents had bought a house at the corner of Annie and New York Street on what we call the south side of Fort Worth. And on the 19th day of June, people started gathering. The paper says it was 500 of them, and that the police who were there couldn't control them. Wow. Mind you, my father came home with a gun, and the police told him, if you bust a cap, we'll let the mob have you.
Wow.
And my parents sent us to friends several blocks away, and they left under cover of darkness. But the people had started throwing things, and after my parents left, they drug out the furniture and burned it. They really destroyed that place.
Because they didn't want a Black family living in that neighborhood.
They didn't. And it amazes me that if we'd been allowed to stay, they would have learned that we didn't want any more than they did. A decent place to stay, a job that paid a decent wage, that we could get health care, you know, and not be shunted aside because we didn't have money. There were so many things that they could have learned, but it didn't happen like that. I don't know whether it's in my DNA or what, but Juneteenth is something that I feel strongly about.
Yes.
That we actually need to have it as a national holiday. Now, we've carried 1,500,000 signatures to Congress.
Yes.
And we propose taking that many more to them because we don't want them to forget. We will not let them forget. And there's so many things going on now that if we don't keep pushing, and I say I'm gonna keep talking, I'm gonna keep walking till Juneteenth's made a national holiday.
Well, I tell you what, and you mean that. When you say you're going to walk that walk, you mean it. You actually started something. I have to say, you are a ripe young 94 years old as we're talking today. And at the ripe younger age of 89, you made a decision to begin Opal's Walk. And talk about that, and talk about what fueled you to do something as powerful as that for Juneteenth.
I just got to thinking, you know, when you get that age, that you ought to be able to make an impact of some kind. And I've said before, I think it's in my DNA. My grandfather, my mother's father, he and my grandmother had 19 children. But I spent some time on the farm when I was younger, and he was an itinerant preacher. You know, he had a church in this community one week and a church in another week. And he saw in his travels, and he talked about tennis courts and golf and indoor plumbing and things of that nature that he wanted his family and his community to have.
Yes.
And he was the type of person that would bring total strangers to my grandma and tell her, find him something to eat, place to stay, help him get on his feet. And he didn't stop at that. When my mom married and moved to Marshall, Texas, he'd send people to her and tell her, help them get on their feet, give them a place to stay. And so I really feel that this is what we are put here to do. That people need to know that Juneteenth is not a Black thing or a Texas thing.
Mhm.
We all need to be about the business of freedom, because none of us are free till we're all free.
That's right.
And we're not free now.
That's right. That's right. I love how you talk about that. You say that Juneteenth should be a national holiday because it's a unifying holiday.
Yes.
Yeah. You said the slaves didn't free themselves in one of
They
the articles.
they didn't listen. They had, I'm gonna say, John Brown and Frederick Douglass and Sojourner Truth and others, the Quakers.
Yes.
They worked in sync to
Mhm.
get people free, you know?
Mhm.
And why can't we do that now? If we put our minds to it, all these disparities that we have, we could eradicate them in nothing flat.
Yes.
If we understand that it's freedom for all of us.
Yes.
You can't keep your foot on my neck and be free.
That's right.
You know?
It's not freedom. That's not freedom. Well, Miss Opal, I have to tell you, you have, among many gifts, you have the gift of vision. You are a visionary leader. You're a hero to me.